Welcome to Any Way You Travel Arkansas. I'm Mark Kramer. This is Hot Springs, Arkansas. Yes, Hot Springs is known for its hot thermal waters and famous bathhouses, and those things are really great, but there's so much more to the city that you never really hear about in other travel videos. So during this visit, we want to share with you some of the things that make Hot Springs more than just hot water. In the early 1900s, Hot Springs was a city of gangsters. Even today, Al Capone sits outside watching over his favorite bar, the Ohio Club. In fact, the painted windows advertising food, cigars, beer, and walking canes is original to that era. Inside the Ohio Club, you're going to find all kinds of gangster memorabilia celebrating the Ohio Club's colorful history. You'll also find Al Capone's very own leather club that was taken by police as they arrested him. So, during the gangster days of Hot Springs, how would you get into the Ohio Club? First, do you see the black spots on the floor just as you enter the club? That was a false wall, and in front as you entered the door, there was a small cigar shop. But if you knew the password, the cigar shop attendant would let you into the Ohio Club through a side door. Once inside, you could have a beer at the bar. Or you could go to the back of the first floor and get into the casino. Or you could always go up the stairs and head to the brothel. You might say the Ohio Club had a little something for everybody. So where did Al Capone and other gangsters stay when they were visiting Hot Springs? For Capone, it was the Arlington Hotel, Arkansas's largest hotel even to this day. The Arlington was built to give visitors a place to stay that was comparable to hotels in big cities on the East Coast. In fact, Al Capone stayed there so often he had his own regular suite on the 4th floor. And while we were there, Any Way You Travel Arkansas was granted an exclusive glimpse in the suite. As you come into the suite, there's a couple pictures of the gangster. This is the sitting area of the suite. You can see why Capone would like staying here. And then, of course, off the living area was the bedroom. Capone also had a private dining room that he would use whenever he was at the Arlington. Another thing you may not know about Hot Springs is that it was home to baseball spring training in the early 1900s. Greats like Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, and the great left-handed pitcher Lefty Grove all played here. Whittington Park was the most used baseball field for spring training, and this commemorative plate marks the location of the 1918 home plate where so many of the greats played. The old field was in what is now the parking lot of the Weyerhaeuser building. It was at Whittington Field on March 18, 1918 that Babe Ruth hit a mammoth 573-foot home run. That hit went down in history as baseball's first 500-foot-plus hit. And where did the ball land? In the backyard of our next location, the Arkansas Alligator Farm and Petting Zoo. We don't know if Babe Ruth's ball knocked out any alligators, but we do know that the Alligator Farm has been open and on the same location since 1902, right across the street from what was, at the time, Whittington Field. Outside, you'll find all kinds of animals that the kids can pet, interact with, and feed. But inside, things change just a bit. This is where they house the alligators during the winter months when it's too cold for them to be outside. They raise alligators from very young to 10 to 20-year-old teenagers. Finally, to the big boys, these alligators are 30 to 40 years old. Then, of course, if you're a fan of canaries, you're going to love the canary room. They'll fly around and land right on you. Finally, you'll have to check out Tommy the Tortoise. He never really gets in much of a hurry. Next, we're going to head up to West Mountain and take in some beautiful views. Now, as you might expect, the road heading up to West Mountain can be a bit curvy, so be careful. After all, some folks think they own both sides of the road. As you head up West Mountain, there'll be some places where you can pull over and get some beautiful pictures. Then you'll come upon the 216-foot tall observation tower that was built in 1983. The first tower was built on this spot in 1877, but it was only 80 feet tall. The ride up the observation tower elevator can be a bit harrowing if you don't like heights, but it's beautiful scenery. On what they call the second floor is a museum where you're going to find all kinds of history about hot springs. Then, on the third floor, or the observation deck, you'll get some beautiful views. Sorry the camera's a bit shaky, the wind was blowing like crazy. And whether it's the West Mountain, Hot Springs Mountain, or anywhere in between, there are tons of great hiking trails for you to enjoy. As we head back downtown, you may wonder what that huge imposing building is overlooking downtown. Well, that's the old Army-Navy Hospital. Dating back to 1887, this was the first Army-Navy hospital established during peacetime. The buildings you see now were built in 1933 and after. During World War II, injured soldiers from Europe were sent here to be taken care of and recover. The hospital closed in 1955, and in 1960, the facilities were given to the state of Arkansas. The Arkansas Career Training Institute was a rehabilitation center which taught 26 different vocational courses for students with disabilities. Finally, in 2019, the building was closed and remains vacant. Not far from the old Army-Navy Hospital is the Woodman of Union Building, built in 1923 by the African-American fraternal organization Woodman of Union. It quickly became the center of African-American culture in Hot Springs, and almost every great black entertainer and all the Negro League players stayed there while visiting the city. One of its more famous guests was entertainer Bill Bojangles Richardson. He was close friends with Babe Ruth, and while he was nationally famous, he was also famous for leading parades through Hot Springs, dancing the entire way. The building now serves as low-income elderly housing. Also, while you're in Hot Springs, don't forget your water bottles. You can fill them up with the natural spring water at several locations in town, and it's free. Finally, on our tour of out-of-the-way places in Hot Springs, you've heard the song I Left My Heart in San Francisco by Tony Bennett. Well, that song was first sung in Hot Springs in 1961 at the Vapors. Of course, only a bartender who happened to be working heard it. The Vapors still hosts not only tribute bands, but also big-name bands and comedians. So make sure to check out what's happening at the Vapors when you visit Hot Springs. Thanks for watching Any Way You Travel Arkansas. I hope you enjoyed your visit to Hot Springs, the city that made its fortune off hot water, gambling, gangsters, and a lot of other great things. Listen, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, hit the notification button. That way you'll never miss another episode as we travel the beautiful natural state of Arkansas.